Hi, welcome to another episode of Planetary Wisdom. This is for the new moon in Scorpio happening on November 5th. That's here in Australia. I'll put the link to see that in your date and time in your location. Happens to be my birthday. So it's happening at 12 degrees in Scorpio. So you might want to see what you've got at 12 degrees that's making aspects to that, or what's close to that in Scorpio. The theme for this new moon is going deep. Okay, so deep, intense emotion that catalyzes huge transformation. So this is about taking action to change our lives. So Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, which is the planet demoted to a planetoid that you might know in mythology as Hades, lord of the underworld. It takes us deep into the subconscious. That's what the underworld is, so that we can have a really hard look at ourselves. It's about intense introspection. So new moon is about that anyway, but Scorpio is about that. So we put the new moon together with Scorpio, and it elicits the dark feminine, none more so than this sign at this phase. So this is Lilith. You might know her as Oya, Medusa, Sekhmet, but she is, or Kali Ma, the dark goddess, the goddess who tells us that which is uncomfortable but necessary. So, this is the goddess in her destroyer phase. So we could rename this new moon What Needs to Die. So this is about recognizing dysfunction and moving on. So wherever you've been trying to control a situation because it has been dysfunctional, it's time to let it go. All right. Death is about the letting go of emotional attachment. Yeah, so that we can be like water, the element, because Scorpio is a water element, water sign, and not attached to anything. So just like a waterfall can go down a rock face and not get hurt, okay, if we're not attached to everything, we can go with the flow more easily. So Scorpio, the lesson of Scorpio is death. And I know it intimately because it's my life path in the Kabbalah and my numerology, as well as having 5 planets in Scorpio. So whatever you've been invested in, particularly emotional attachments, this is when we will question, is this actually for my highest good, growth and healing? Or is this more of a hindrance? Okay, is this toxic? So for others, it might be, how are we invested in a situation, having a particular outcome and needing to let go of trying to control the outcome, okay? Or it might be a potential that we have to grieve, a missed or a lost possible potential. Shadow Aphrodite often falls in love with the potential of people, or the potential of a union, okay, or the potential of a job. And so it can be a rude, hard awakening to recognize this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or that person isn't who I thought they were. So we need to grieve lost potential, just as we need to grieve the loss of an actuality, a present situation. So, grief is complex because we're grieving many things, okay? We might be grieving the past griefs that we haven't completed, okay, that any grief then triggers. So, this is going to be a new moon in the 2 weeks coming down into the 5th of November, where you might really need to take space, take time, go into the depths of your own being, journaling, meditating, doing your own private ceremony and ritual, art therapy, just your own way of processing, coming to terms with the necessary endings that will then create the space for beautiful new births. So yeah, when I speak about, you know, the fact that death is, you know, it's not final. Okay, we've been taught to fear death as there's no coming back from there, right? But death is simply change, okay, which is why in the tarot card of death we see children very excited that death has strode into town on a horse. Yeah, they've picked some flowers and they've got some gifts for death, you know, because they're excited by the opportunities that change is going to usher in, you know, because children have this innate faith in life being benevolent, okay, unfolding for them rather than against them or to them. So, you know, in the Kabbalistic tree, the path of death goes from Netzach, which is the Sephirot or the energy center of Venus in the left hip within the body, to Tiferet, the heart. And that journey is about letting go of emotional attachments that no longer serve us. So if you've been sitting with a heavy heart, you know, with a decision that you know you need to make and you've been putting off, this new moon is probably going to bring it to a head with some catalysts. Now, the other thing is, if we don't instigate that change ourselves and have what's called the shaman's death or the good death, okay, be in right relationship with life by recognizing the need for death on a regular basis. And this may be felt more by those in the Northern Hemisphere that are, you know, in the death seasonal wheel of, you know, autumn into winter. But we have Uranus, the planet of sudden change, unexpected miracles, okay, in Taurus, okay, ruled by Venus, earthy, sign of the material world, directly opposite this new moon. So that's like a challenge, okay? So if we don't make the change, guess what? Universe is going to make it for us. So better to instigate the machinations of that change so it can be more graceful rather than so sudden that it is shocking and even traumatic. So notice intuitively when I speak of, okay, what situations have you outgrown? What changes do you need to make? Notice what comes up. Okay, you might kind of think it away, but notice intuitively what that evokes. Might be thoughts of people, maybe a job, where you're living.